I had a hobby too. Mine happened to be guns and ballistics, and I studied guns and ballistics as much as I could, and I wrote an article about high velocity.
So out of all my years working at Weatherby, the last 5 have been some of the most exciting. Working with Adam, with him running the company.
And to think that I get the opportunity of carrying on my grandfather's legacy 75 years later here in Sheridan, Wyoming, I mean, it really is a dream come true.
Oh, I'm home. Thank God I'm home.
On Our Mark, the Weatherby Podcast.
Welcome back to On Our Mark, the Weatherby Podcast. Episode 91. We're like knocking close to 100 episodes.
Yeah, we're knocking on the door.
That's awesome. A lot of those episodes have been talking about new products. This one's not different.
Yeah, not different at all. It feels like every other podcast we have been doing has been new product stuff, so which is always fun from the marketing and product development side.
That's because Seth and Jared haven't been bored.
Yeah, we're
never bored.
We're doing things, I guess.
You're doing cool things. Truth be told.
Yeah, your guys' segment of The Office has got a good vibe to it. I feel like I come over there and there's always something new. I also like to come over there and ask really absurd questions and then see how you guys answer them. That's also a favorite thing.
It usually starts a fight, so it's always fun.
It does. I actually have a chair that I ask the question and then I sit in between all three of these guys and then it just goes back and forth. So it's pretty much
like who would win in a fight, a beaver or an otter? Like what?
No, it might be something.
Actually, that's a great one. Yeah,
it's usually firearms related. Like if it's just like a topic I want to learn about and it's a little controversial, there's always going to be opinions. So I'll come ask the experts. So
I like it.
There's 2 opinions and 1 right answer usually.
Well, a couple of these. Well, everybody's been on here quite a bit. I don't know. You need like serious introduction, but Tyler, our marketing manager. J Red, J Rail, Smethurst,
Product development.
Seth Hiller, product development. So
happy to be here.
Seth, we've been a little over a year on the 307 now. We've got a few models. We've been adding more and more models. We're on the heels of the Adventure SD. Mm-hmm. It's the last one we talked about. What are we doing now?
Well, we're adding a little bit more upgrades to the Alpine MDT here. So the Alpine MDT, again, a fantastic rifle. A lot of people during trade show season especially were kind of asking about maybe a carbon fiber barrel on that guy. So ask and ye shall deliver, I suppose. So,
well, it's like, how can we make the Alpine MDT better? Because I think everybody loves that stock. Really lightweight, folding stock, integrated Arca Swiss on the foregrip, M-lock, super light, all the adjustability, all the things. How do you make the gun better? You just throw a better barrel on it.
Throw a better barrel on it. You can shoot it a little bit more with that carbon fiber barrel, not have your shots wander. So again, had a mag sporter contour on the Alpine MDT. This one with that carbon fiber is going to give you a few more shots there at the range.
What's it cost you, Jared? From like going from the mag sporter barrel to the carbon barrel, it's lighter, right?
Yeah, if you measure a straight, so we have a on the table we've got a straight mag sporter, and that guy's actually not fluted. So on our standard MDT, that'll be fluted, but go into a carbon, it's just across the board. Whenever you're looking at rigidity and shot to shot, you're gaining a lot of stability basically, and then you're not giving up as much. So weight wise, it's roughly the same, 6.5 pound gun, right? And
I personally am a huge fan of the BSF barrels. We've been using them for about 4 years now, and we've talked about it some on previous podcasts. But in case you're new to On Our Mark, the Weatherby Podcast, I think we'll just talk a little bit about what makes that BSF barrel different from other carbon barrels out there.
Yeah. Sounds great, yeah. Who wants to jump in on that one?
Seth, we did a couple of meetings yesterday, and you did a really good job. Just start. We always talk about like trade show season, right?
Yeah.
You have the guy that comes up and is like, "Oh, what is this BSF barrel?" Just maybe walk us through that quick simple, and then maybe we dive into certain little points on that.
Sure thing. Yeah. The quick simple is rather than taking carbon fiber and wrapping it around a barrel, the BSF barrel features a carbon fiber tube or sleeve, whatever you want to call it. It's fixed on the barrel shank end, and then it has a tension nut holding it in tension against the steel barrel on the inside. So essentially you're using torsional force to go ahead and keep that barrel rigid. So that's one great aspect of carbon fiber is it has great torsional properties.
Against the grain.
Absolutely.
Right? So it's got in the long axis. So anything that's not in the long axis is almost filler.
Yeah.
It's not helping rigidity.
Correct.
And almost every barrel out there starts life as an 1.25 inch blank.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
Outside of maybe some hammer forged barrels or whatever, but
Yeah.
pretty much every barrel starts life as an 1.25 inch. I think it's safe to say every carbon barrel does. Doesn't matter whose it is. So you're removing carbon, and then most other barrels are just replacing all of that carbon. Removing steel, and then replacing all of that steel with carbon fiber. And you're just, a lot of them are wrapped, table rolled, but it's a carbon fiber fabric that's just rolled and replaced all the steel.
That's a fairly good overview. Yeah.
But the base barrel then is, I'm pointing on the table here, but it's essentially a number 2 contour barrel that you don't really need the carbon fiber for that.
No.
Or even thinner. A lot of those other, I mean, depending on company, but you will have a very thin tube, and depending whether they wind or they wrap like a cigar, you're going to have, not much steel underneath. But another cool thing with the BSFs that you could do, because there's basically dead air space in there, is that they're actually fluted. So
the base barrel.
Yeah, the base barrel actually looks really close to like a
like an Accumark.
Yeah, basically like an Accumark or something like that with, really deep flutes. So you're gaining rigidity there. If you wrap the barrel, you can't do that. So.
And the other bad problem with carbon fiber is that it's a great insulator. And so if you wrap a barrel with a bunch of good insulation, then it just kind of insulates in all that heat that you're generating when you're shooting it. So leaving some airspace in there at least allows some air to escape and work its way around those hot barrels.
Yeah, some of the BSF's AR barrels actually have holes in the carbon fiber and allows for like venting. But on a hunting rifle, we determined that'd probably be a bad idea.
Yeah, I think you might get some crud in there.
Anyway.
I know Tyler would. For sure.
Yeah, definitely. The joke here is like it goes out like clean, and then marketing touches it, and then we go on a hunt, and I bring it back. Yeah,
it's not a joke. It's just.
Oh, it's very true.
Like it's not mean if it's true.
Yeah, it's definitely
factual.
True. Yeah, there's a few Weatherby cases that have also gone through.
I don't know what you do to gun cases, but I've never seen anything like it.
I noticed that they still hadn't been through the car wash, and I think that's working on 4 or 5 months now.
So this is my justification. I feel like it's so ingrained now that it gives it character, right? Yeah.
It's camouflaged against dirt.
That is true. Most of our company accuracy records, to my recollection now, have been set with the BSF barrels. I know for sure in a 30 cal, and I think 6.5. I'm not sure about every other diameter, but the BSF barrels have been shooting very, very well. Been very happy with those.
Yeah, I think you're spot on that. They're definitely very good. Their repeatability is what's pretty darn amazing. You don't see as heat develops these things, they don't start to string, they don't start to go crazy. I mean, 5-shot groups on these are generally pretty easy to accomplish.
I was shooting one this morning, having some pretty consistent hits.
Yeah.
Pretty consistent.
It's actually this one right here.
It was this gun.
If you're on YouTube, yeah.
Anyway, we love the BSF barrel. I think that they make the use of carbon the best of any barrel out there. They've got some really cool patents that protect how that is constructed, and they've done a really good job. I think sometimes the best machine is the simplest, and they've done a really good job with that. So we're really proud to have them on our guns. So new on the MDT Carbon, we got a new muzzle brake. Tell me about that thing, Jared.
Yeah, so that's our first directional brake we've done. So designed in-house. Basically, whenever you look at brakes, you can break them in a couple different categories. All the design on all of them, brakes in general are designed to reduce recoil. But with a few things with that, you do get more blast. And on all of our other brakes we've done previously, all the slimline brakes and the Accubrakes, those are basically ported all the way around. Great brakes. They're, they definitely are, depending on application, about the best general brake you can get out there. But with a directional brake, you're not picking up a lot of dust underneath you, so it's not venting gas down. Underneath you down. So if you're shooting in anything that's really soft dirt or whatever else, you're not picking up tons of dirt. And these ones are, they're pretty loud. They definitely they reduce recoil really well.
They sound totally different. We had one of these brakes with us in Africa, and Adam was shooting the Adventure SD, and the video, fine. I was editing the video recently, and it sounds normal. Brenda then shot a gun that had the Accubrake DST on it, and it clipped it just sounded so different. And camera was on a tripod, camera didn't move, shooting position was the same, but just it definitely works. Additionally, this morning,
that's what I was.
We were like, let's get a cool picture of the muzzle blasts. So I laid down on this gun on a dirt road at the ranch, on a bipod, and I had the bipod up in a normal, comfortable shooting position. And I shot, and they're like, well, that was really anticlimactic. Nothing happened. There was virtually no dust. So I had to go to the absolute lowest setting on the bipod to the point where I couldn't even aim up high enough at my target. We're just trying to do it to get the effect on this. The muzzle's probably 4 inches from the ground, and only then did it put a little dust back towards me. I was like, that worked pretty darn good.
Yeah, it definitely did. It will be a cool perspective too, and it'll be in our launch video. But we wanted to show how it does disperse those gases out pretty evenly both sides. So it's pretty cool to actually see that in practice. So
even then, I was wearing safety glasses, but I've had moments before where you're just oh gosh, I got to wipe the dust off my face. It wasn't that at all. It's got a little dusty back here. It wasn't bad. It works.
And then even
cool.
just keeping this was we were kind of doing this one because it's kind of a good factory option for NRL Hunter. So we kind of did an NRL Hunter setup on the rifle we were shooting today, and you were talking about how you were able to stay on target, no problem.
I was shooting a 65 need more, but I could. I was calling all my own hits, that target that was, I forget, 400 and some odd yards. So we were just trying to hit that little bitty rock, and I hit just to the side of it in the exact same spot, and you just see the scorched earth come up. And I was like, well, that was consistent at least.
Yeah,
it was pretty awesome. One part that we really probably failed to talk about this brake is it's a self-timing brake. So that's the challenge with directional brakes is you've got to get the sides on the side. Turns out that's important.
Yeah, if you show up and you have the ports pointed up and down on a directional brake, people are going to make fun of you, so don't do that.
Yeah, definitely less cool.
So there is a timing nut. So if you are installing one of these for the first time, there's a timing nut. And just like if you ever had a bolt with a secondary nut on it, you have to get the secondary nut in the right spot so that basically you can compress both against, so you're kind of locking the threads of the brake against the timing nut in and on the barrel. So if you do all that at the same time, then That was a terrible description, but also not that bad of a description.
It's not that bad of a description. So if you're at home and you get one of these, don't feel frustrated when you first crank this thing on. It's like it's not right. No, it does take a little bit of some doing, but it's not hard. So.
It's pretty easy. And your alternative is you can either do peel washers, right? So like some brakes do that.
Like most ARs are going to use like a crush washer.
Yeah, or peel washer, crush washer, but this is by far the best solution. And the flats on there are 13/16.
Perfect.
So you can just use
standard wrench.
Yep, standard wrench, and put a little tape on there so you don't scratch the finish. And pretty easy to get on.
It's awesome.
There was one thing on barrels that I wanted to talk about that we missed. So you'll see shorter barrels. You didn't talk about shorter barrels.
I wasn't there yet.
Oh, sorry.
Dang it.
Boy, that was quite a
Totally
segue.
kidding.
Yeah.
Totally kidding. That's a thing.
Yeah, so traditionally we have, Weatherby, we want to have longer barrels. So with this one, we were making barrels a little bit shorter. We're still keeping, we wanted to keep a good combination of velocity and ballistic performance. But on certain calibers, we were able to chop down 2 inches kind of than what you're traditionally going to see in a Weatherby. So.
Yeah. I was going to try to recite them, but I don't think I'll get it right. So I'm going to not try.
Yeah, I was going to say we could probably start on the short end and start working our way up. 308's 20 inches.
Mm-hmm.
The 22-inch offerings is an array of them. So we have
240, 243, 280 Ackley,
28 Nosler,
28 Nosler,
7 PRC,
300 PRC,
300 PRC, 300 Win,
300 Web.
Nope.
6.5 RPM.
6.5 RPM, 6.5 Creedmoor should be the 22-inch offerings. Then jump into the 24-inch. We've got the 257
and 300.
And 300.
Yep.
And then 26, we're at the 6.5 300. Sorry, fans of the 6.5 300.
No, you're welcome, fans of the 6.5 300, because it's the fastest 6.5 out there. It just happens to need a lot of barrel length to burn that powder.
It needs all of it.
So yeah, we did trim the 6.5 RPM. So both are in long actions on the Model 307. So if you want a 6.5 chopped down, that's a really good option because it's still moving.
It's still going fast.
Yeah. Did you want to spoil anything else?
No, I didn't want to spoil anything else. I just always like to reiterate it's pretty fun when we do come out with a new product and we have 13, 14 caliber options. There's an option there for you. So
we were messing around this morning. It's on the screen here. That was today. That's kind of fun. Being able to take that MDT stock and have that's a Atlas bipod with Area 419 adapters to make it Arca Swiss compatible. But you can just leave that thing on there. It's also really easy to take on and off. But we were kind of doing some stages where you're prone and on a bipod or tripod, and you can do that so fast. I think that's one of my favorite things about that stock is having that integrated Arca rail. It's just awesome.
Yeah, it just gives a lot of versatility because, man, you can run a couple, multiple attachments. And again, just for that guy who is hunting but then also does want to do some competition thing, it's pretty easy. It's pretty awesome to have that in a factory class rifle.
Yeah, as a guide, I love it. That's one of those I've used that stock now for a year, and I think I had 2 hunters last year that were struggling to get down anywhere prone, so I just set up a tripod for them, and it was perfectly comfortable for them to shoot off of, so worked great.
Yeah, it might be the most versatile stock out there. I can't think of one that's more that weighs unappropriate.
Yeah, when you're not talking several pounds, when you're talking like a couple pounds, I don't think it can be beat.
Yeah, I love it. I love this whole package. Cycling the bolt today felt really smooth. Again, on the scope, could see my impacts, could cycle, and not unsee the target in the scope. Obviously, it's moving a little, but it just felt really good.
Yeah, they shoot good. We were just out at the range with a couple folks, and we had a 6.5 RPM, the new 22-inch one, and we had sustained winds at 23 miles an hour, gust to 34, and we were ringing the 1,000-yard steel out there still. So,
and that was a guy who said he'd never shot 1,000 before.
Oh, he'd never shot 1,000. I don't think he'd shot over 500 in it was pretty good.
It's actually one of my favorite things about this time of year is we get a lot of guests come in, and we had some of the Sportsman's Warehouse team in last week, and same thing, just people that just haven't had a chance or a reason to shoot past whatever the number is, a couple hundred to several hundred yards, and like, hey, you're joining in 1,000-yard club today, buddy. It's pretty fun.
Yeah, especially on like the first trigger pull, it's great.
Yeah. Oh, I saw my buddy do it. Just give it to me.
Yeah, it's like a 20-foot hold right now on that wind, guys. Just ease on it.
Yeah. When it's variable wind, man, that's a challenge. So
It's pretty cool to do that too on like an actual hunting rifle where it's like you have a decently wide, the barrel is like not heavy. The stock is not heavy. Like it feels like a hunting rifle.
it does.
And
Yeah.
you can yet go out and reach out and, hit a milk jug at 1,000 is pretty awesome.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, 6.5 pound gun, 7 pound gun right in there, and you're just sitting there ringing steel. Absolutely, dude.
Yeah. I know there's a lot of Weatherby purists that listen to this or watch this podcast, and the 307 is in no way replacing the Mark V. The Mark V is going to continue to be our flagship action, but there are some unique things, and it's a trade-off, right? You get 54-degree bolt lift, but it's not as smooth as the Model 307 with a 90-degree lift because you're just doing the same amount of work. I don't know the exact spec, but the firing pin spring is probably very close to the same, if not the same poundage. So you're doing the same work when you're lifting the bolt, basically cocking the firing pin. You just do it over 90 degrees, and it's super smooth. Super smooth.
For targets and things like that on range, you can actually, because that's the one thing with a Mark V, and with hunting it probably doesn't matter as much. I'd rather have more ocular clearance, but yeah, just being able to stay on target and being able to rack is pretty awesome.
I love the speed of the Mark V, but today I noticed it on the 307 more than I had in the past because I was trying a little bit harder, but you can lift the bolt, rack a shell, and close the bolt. A shell. It's not a shell. It's a cartridge. I know what it is. But you stay on the whole time. It's really, really smooth. The Mark V, there's the little catch at the top. I don't care in a hunting scene. It's fine. But it's just different. I guess that's what I wanted to call out because I've had some comments on it. Wow, that 307 is just a this and it's not a that. And well, that's partly true, but it's not supposed to be a that.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes we have brothers and cousins and things like that, and sometimes they're pretty cool too.
Have we said the price?
We have not said the price.
What is the price?
Price on this guy is going to be MSRP is $34.99.
It's a lot of gun.
That is a lot of gun. There's maybe especially with that combination of the barrel, just finding that price point is a pretty darn great value.
Well, I think it's the best barrel on the market. There's stocks, it's hard to say it's the best stock on the market, but for having the lightest, it might be the most expensive stock on the market. The magnesium carbon,
there's quite a bit there.
The retail's not cheap.
It's not low,
but it's really awesome.
It's pretty great.
It's really awesome.
Yeah, there's other similar, let's just say custom gun builders that would make something like this. That's gonna be like a $6,000-$7,000 rifle that you're gonna pick up, and it's not right off the shelf kind of thing.
No, it's got all the things. Oh, did we say that it comes with a J-rail?
We haven't.
Jared, that was your job.
Oh man. Yes, comes with a J-rail. So, just Picatinny rail, and I guess we can just leave it there. But yeah, Picatinny rail, and then it has a relief cut in the back, and that way you can mount your optics real low, and you also have a little more clearance moving that ocular around, so you can get that perfect eye relief.
It's hard to say it's not my favorite Weatherby right now.
It's pretty fun to shoot today. I also like it's got the Trigger Tech adjustable trigger, so darn crisp trigger pulls today too.
Yeah, if you don't know exactly what you're going to run into one day and you just want to take a rifle out with you, just who knows if it's going to be hunting, shooting, whatever else. This one can fit pretty much any bill for you. I mean, that's probably what's really neat about it.
Does everything equally well, and that's kind of like with the BSFs too, is like those barrels are like essentially the perfect balance of weight, accuracy, and everything else. Like I sometimes I'll have people ask me like,
so I was about to say, everybody asks the question like, if you could only have one.
yep, that's it.
This
is your one.
question comes up a lot when Tyler was talking about things like that. Just shamelessly, I'll admit that one.
The beaver or the otter.
Yeah,
Who
yeah,
wins?
that
That's
one
the
does
one.
get brought up a lot. Yeah.
Yeah. And for a one rifle solution, that's basically it. I wouldn't choose a lighter barrel or a heavier barrel. I'd choose that barrel.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
And I'm guessing you would choose 308 just based on our conversations.
I'd have to go 300. If I'm
The truly do all.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
a truly do all. I think that and a 300.
That's
is
where
about
you
as-
get a little wonky on your the gun and the stock might be a do all, but I really don't think there's a one cartridge or one gun to rule them all, because if you go 300 for some of the precision shooting games, you're disqualified out of the gate because they've got velocity limits that you're over.
Just use a heavier
already.
bullet.
Your bullet. we were talking about this earlier.
I checked the regs. I'm still like in there. So someday
31 or 3200?
I
32, I think.
I think it's 32, but
Yeah.
I'm at either way I'm good. I'm at 30-75 shooting the 195s. So
Okay.
either way I will do an NRL at some point with a 300 Weatherby.
I shot a PRS match with 6.5 RPM.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
That would actually line up really well though.
It
That's
didn't-
not
it didn't
ridiculous.
do bad, and I used a hinged floor plate, and so I would run the mag dry, and then I'm just single feeding, and I never timed out on a stage. I got through every stage.
That's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
Jared and I were talking about like a 2-gun system earlier, which would be kind of fun. Where if you were like to get into NRL Hunter or something like that, having like the exact same setup, just one in like a 6.5 Creedmoor, and then one in like your hunting rifle. So
That'd be
so
cool.
then that practice is like directly related to you doing better on the mountain later on. So there's like a big part of me that's like, I didn't want to say it on the podcast, but I feel like by this time next year, if I haven't done an NRL Hunter match, I'm going to be very disappointed in myself. So.
Yeah, and I'll be disappointed in you too.
Ooh,
Wow.
he kind of does your reviews, so you might
He does. Oh no.
We'll put it on the list.
Yeah.
I just took a sip of my coffee, and I just wanted to take a second and say thanks to Andrew from Yeti, because he noticed on our previous podcast that I was drinking coffee not from a Yeti cup, and he said I hurt his feelings, and so he sent us a few Yeti cups. I just wanted to say thanks.
If you see here, if you're on the YouTubes, there's a lot of good placement here. Sweet Yeti cups with the Weatherby logo on them.
Yeah, I really like the Hunter Orange ones. They're sweet.
Yeah, this one's pretty sweet.
It's a lot better than my beat up black one that fell off my truck and it like rolled a ways. So
It's got some character.
oh yeah.
I feel like this one right here, it's like a campfire, like sipping your coffee in the morning, deer camp or something.
Yeah, I'm a fan. And Andrew, shout out. Good job. Did we miss anything? We did miss one thing I was going to talk about in stocks. I just remembered it because I looked at it. It has both swivel studs and QD cups.
Yeah.
And it can be a little challenging to find a good QD mount sling, but I've bought a few now, and I like this stock specifically slung on the QD mounts because it kind of holds it sideways. So most of the time on swivel studs, you're basically you're contacting the foregrip of the stock, which is a little bit narrower area. When you use the QD studs or the QD sling on this stock, it kind of holds the whole thing sideways against you, so it's just a little bit more comfortable.
Yeah, with the QD, there's also a QD cup on the side of the buttstock, so you can actually collapse this stock and then still sling it, so it carries about 10 inches shorter. So if you do go with a 26-inch barrel, which some of us do, and run it suppressed, it actually drops your length down considerably when you have it slung. So just a field tip there for anybody that picks one of these up. If you've got a long barrel and a suppressor, you can drop down your length considerably by doing that.
Yep.
And it's pretty awesome.
Yeah, it's a good pro tip, Seth.
Yeah. I've put a few miles on with one of those guys now.
Yeah, yeah. Man, I think that's it.
We didn't talk about.
Oh, it is adjustable. Yeah, your
but-
cheek weld's adjustable with wrenches, and then it's spacers on the length pull. But yeah, stock's got all the things. There's really, there's often a lot of products. You're like, oh, if it only had that. If it only had that. I can't think of what else I'd want to put on this stock to say if it only had that.
Yeah, we didn't mention it's also Cerakoted, so that probably goes without saying, but it's Cerakoted.
The metal of the
The
gun.
metalwork, yes.
Yeah.
So you're all weather resistant.
And for you aftermarket guys, it's still got the threaded bolt knob. I know bolt knobs for people are pretty particular about their bolt knobs, so it's a standard aftermarket thread on that too. So if you wanted to change to a little bigger bolt knob, you can't.
Yeah. Whatever you want. I'm looking forward to spending some more time with this year. Tyler and I may or may not be going to Alaska in a month and a half.
Yeah, we may or may not be.
Mm-hmm.
Mostly maybe.
Which I would like to bring one of these.
Yeah, this would be a great option for that.
That is kind of the plus too with if your stock folds, because I can imagine in Alaska if you're going through lots of stuff and just being able to drop that rifle so much lower, that would be pretty awesome.
It makes a difference.
Yeah.
Jared, what is the next animal you're going to be hunting?
I need an elk this year. I really need. That would be
like
primo.
like your family freezer.
I was gonna say the
yes.
freezer must be talking to you.
Yeah. No. Those six children are hungry. So
Yeah.
I think an elk is in the works here.
Nice. Seth?
I'll probably be guiding first, so first up would be antelope, but not for me. For my personal stuff, I'll probably be out elk first, then whitetail / mule deer. We'll see. My older boy hasn't gotten a mule deer yet, so he's been dropping hints that perhaps we need to go out and get a mule deer. So
Nice. Yesterday was the last day for the Wyoming Big Four. I think it was called Big Five at some point. I had that in my head, but it's the Big Four. I put in for 3. I skipped out on bison this year.
I paid that $400.
You did it?
I did it.
Yeah.
I've
I'm
1% chance
I'm
for
hoping
everything.
that I draw
so-
one of those, and maybe I'll use this gun on that. Just saying. I know 3 people last year that drew random moose tags. Personally, and not even acquaintances, know them.
And it was pretty low odds for them to draw, right? No one had crazy amount of
Very
points.
low odds.
it's absurdly low odds.
Yeah.
Some of us have put in for a lot of years and never drawn one.
Yeah. Last night I went and looked at all my draw odds on this app that I have, and it was very sad. All mine started with 1 or had a point in front of it, so like a decimal
Yeah,
point.
no, it's low odds, but
Yeah.
I'm holding on to hope. And
But
to
that's
me,
what I was like. You're telling me there's a chance.
I know. I love this one because actually by the time this podcast goes out, the draw results will be out.
Oh wow!
But I like this one specifically because you can put in on a Tuesday and then the following Wednesday, you know, which is pretty cool.
There's
It
a lot
is
of meat
pretty
on
good.
the moose.
If any of us draw a cool tag, then we'll do a podcast. But if you don't see a podcast about drawing cool tags, then you guys already know.
Maybe we'll put it in the comments and oh, by the way, Luke drew bighorn sheep, goat, and a moose.
Trifecta.
I doubt that.
And
I'll just settle
cheated.
for one.
Yeah, I'll just settle for.
Yeah.
I'm not getting
One would
greedy
I'll
be
here.
just
fine,
settle
yeah.
for one, guys. That'd be pretty.
You know what? You can draw the
Pretty
sheep
exciting.
tag. I'll draw a goat tag. That's
How
fine.
fun is it this time of year though? When draw results start coming out, when you're just
It's exciting and then also disappointing because I also didn't do well in Colorado or Montana this year, so I'm 0 for 2.
Well, okay. I'm not talking about the results part. I'm talking about the romanticizing about the results that have yet to come out.
This is the adult version of Christmas Eve.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Because until you get that disappointment,
Yeah.
it's like, oh man, I'm getting moose, sheep, and goat in Wyoming this fall.
Yeah.
It's like when
Christmas
the
Eve.
lottery goes to 1.6 billion. It's like, man,
Yeah.
I love my job, but after I hit that, I don't know if I'm going in the morning. But
What is Casey from Hush? What's he say?
Positive hunting attitude.
PHA.
PHA.
You gotta have
have
a
it.
positive hunting attitude.
It goes a long way.
Yeah, I'm keeping it real.
Yeah.
does it help for your odds at all? PHA?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
You're sending those vibes
100%.
into the world.
I know
Yeah.
where I've gone wrong all these years.
You're too pessimistic, Seth. Get rid of those controller mind
Yeah.
thoughts.
Yeah, no more negativity.
Yeah, it's fun. All right, we're rambling. Check out the Alpine MDT Carbon on weatherby.com. If you're not on our email list, join our email list. We're not sure what Facebook's doing, but we can hardly post anything anymore without
Yeah.
getting them taken down.
Facebook's been tough. Instagram and YouTube have been doing well for us. So
Yeah.
support us there if you can.
It's like 50-50. If there's a gun in the picture, the post gets pulled.
On Facebook for sure.
When you make guns, that's hard.
One of the funny
Our
ones.
faces don't really sell too many guns,
No.
so that's no good.
We did a happy 307 day, which was March 7th, and we posted a sweet pic of a Model 307. They didn't like it. Lasted about 5 minutes, so
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
So if it crossed your mind, what's Weatherby doing their Facebook? Same thing we've always done, and they don't like it.
yeah, check out
So-
Instagram. The YouTube we've been putting out a ton of cool content. We do some reels, some shorts, and all kinds of
Yeah,
things on there.
they
so-
seem the bot. I don't know if it's a person or a bot, but it catches less.
Yeah.
But the number one thing, if you're not on our email list, that they can't take that one from us. At least not yet. So
I was say yeah, and if you're interested in this, check your local dealer. We should be shipping a few of these ahead of time.
we
So,
should.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And if you made it this far into the podcast, you deserve to know that we're launching another new product in like 2 weeks.
Yeah.
That's
Also very cool.
that I don't know. It's a toss up. I'm like super pumped about both of them. I
Yeah.
might be more excited about the next one.
Yeah, it's a coin flip for me. The next one's pretty awesome too.
I'm just going to leave it like that. You're
Yeah.
just going to have to wonder, people. Thanks for listening.